Hello, everybody.
So thank you, Jeff, for joining us. It's great to have you here, and welcome to India.
It's great to be here. I love India. Every time I come here, I feel very alive. It's an amazing place. Yesterday, I already had a chance to fly kites with a bunch of kids. That's a good day.
So let's get started. You've spent your childhood in Texas. You have also spent some of your summers working on your ranch with your grandfather. I've heard you personally talk about these experiences very fondly. How have those summers played an influence on you?
Well, I got very lucky because my grandfather was almost a third parent for me. And I spent all my summers on my grandfather's ranch from about age 4 to 16. And in the beginning, he could create the illusion for me when I was 4 years old that I was actually helping. But later I actually was helping. And I learned so much from my grandfather because he was, and I think this is true of many people in rural areas, they're very self-reliant, they're very resourceful. They can get things done on their own. They don't just pick up the phone and call for help. And so we built our own barns, and he had a Caterpillar bulldozer that we would repair all the time, and fixing our own vehicles. He would even make he did all of his own veterinary work. He would suture up the animals, and he would make his own needles. I was always amazed by this. He would take a piece of wire and heat it with a blowtorch and pound it until it's thin and drill a little hole in the end and sharpen it and make his own needles and do his own veterinary work. Some of the animals even survived. It was incredible. But that kind of self-reliance that you see from people in rural areas it made a big impression on me.
I know you may have been asked this question many times then, but I still think the audience would love to hear from you. How did you make the decision to take a chance to start Amazon.com? I mean, you were well settled, you had a great job. While it seems very obvious today, this must have been a difficult decision.
Yeah, it was. I was living and working in New York City in 1994. I came across the fact that the World Wide Web was growing very quickly. It was tiny, but it was growing very fast. Most people had not heard of it. And I came up with this idea. The idea initially was very simple. It was to sell books online. And I went to my boss, who I liked a lot. His name was David. And I said, I have this idea to start this company to sell books on the internet. And he took me on a long walk in Central Park in New York and listened to this idea in great detail. And he said, it actually sounds like a really good idea to me, but I think it would be a better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job. And I thought about that. That made a certain amount of sense to me. And he said, why don't you think about it for 2 days before you make a final decision? And so I went away and I thought about this. And I was trying to figure out how to make this decision, because in the moment, personal life decisions, those choices can be very challenging. And I finally figured out for me the right way to think about it, which was I wanted not to have regrets. I pictured myself, 80 years old, and thinking back on my life in a quiet moment of reflection. Would I regret leaving this company in the middle of the year and walking away from my annual bonus and all those things that in the moment can be very confusing? And I thought, when I'm 80, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not even going to remember it. But what I will do, I know for a fact, I have this idea, and if I don't try, I'm going to regret having never tried. And I know also, if I try and fail, I'll never regret having tried and failed. And as soon as I thought about it that way, I knew I had to give it a try.
And did you ever think that Amazon could have been the success that you have made?
No. So what's actually happened over the last 25 years is way beyond my expectations. You have to remember, I was delivering the packages myself 25 years ago. We were selling books. I was hoping to build a company, but not a company like what you see today. Everything was one step at a time.
I'm curious, what would you have done if this bet didn't play out?
I would be an extremely happy software programmer somewhere.